All right, the other credit card method that we're going to be looking at is something called the average daily balance method. Now, what's an average? An average, is when you take a bunch of numbers and you add them all together and then you divide by the number of numbers. Like if you had 5 exams in some class you're taking, if you added up all 5 exams and then divided by 5, you'd have the average of your exams. Okay, this is going to be the average daily balance. And they do this every month. Credit cards only charge you interest monthly, okay? But if they do the average daily balance method, they are going to look at what your average is every single day of the month, or what your balance is every single day of the month. And there's 12 months in the year, but not all 12 months have the same number of days. Some of them have 31, some of them have 30, and then there's February that's got 28 or 29, depending on whether it's a leap year, right? So, to calculate it, you are going to, step 1, add the outstanding balance for your account for each day of the month. So if you're in the month of April, which has 30 days, you have to figure out, well, what was my balance on April 1st? What was my balance on April 2nd? What was my balance on April 3rd? On April 4th? On April 5th? On April 6th? April 30th. Add them all up and divide by 30 to figure out your average daily balance. So you add them up, then you divide the total in step 1 by the number of days in the month to find the average daily balance, and then you will use the simple interest formula of I equals PRT, where P is the average daily balance that you found in step 2. R is still the interest rate. T, now this is where it's also different. T is the number of days in the month divided by 365. Now when we were doing the unpaid balance method, they just calculated it one time for the month. So time was 1/12. But they're going to calculate this for every single day in the month. So if you're in the month of April, there are 30 out of 365 days in the year for April. You can't do it for one month because not every month is the same. Some are 30, some are 31, and then there's February, right? Okay, now the hard part is figuring that out. Now, most people, maybe I shouldn't say that, I don't know. A lot of people don't use their credit card every single day of the month. Okay? So they're gonna try to make this a little easy. So at the beginning of September, a credit card has a balance of $240. The credit card has an annual interest rate of 18%. Remember, I like to use the bright pink for that. 18%. And it had a beginning balance. Okay, so it started at $240. That's where we started. And then during the September, the following adjustments were made. Okay. On September 11th, you made a payment of $60. Okay? Okay. That means that from September 1st through the 10th, you had a balance. The first 10 days, you had a balance of $240. So on September 1st, it was $240. September 2nd, it was $240. September 3rd, it was $240. September 4th, you know what I'm saying here? So instead of adding $240 10 times, I'm just going to take 240 times 10, because that's how multiplication and addition work. Repeated addition is how multiplication was invented. If I add the same number 10 times, that's the same thing as taking that number times 10. And that's going to give you 2,400. But on September 11th, a $60 credit happened. Let me find a pink color. That's close to pink. If you have a credit, that means that you sent in some money, which means your balance, which was $240 on September 11th, it came down by $60. So now we are at what, $180? And nothing changes until you get to September 18th, because then you used your credit card and charged $24 for music. So from September 11th up until September 17th, okay, because on the 18th something happened. So from, where am I going to put this? From September 11th through the 17th, I'll just use B for balance. Your balance for all of those days was 180. So 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, that's 7 days. So I would take 180 times 7, and that's 1,260. I'm going to keep doing this. I'm pretty sure they show it on the next page here. Yep, here's what they're showing. Okay, so on the first, hang on a second, what colors did I use? I didn't use any colors. Okay, I didn't use any color. I'll go back to yellow. Go back to yellow on that. Here's the first 10 days of the month. Every one of those days you had a balance of 240. So 10 times 240 is, it's like a subtotal right now. I have a subtotal of $2,400. But then on September 11th, you sent in money, right? And that brought your balance down by $60. But that stayed the same for these 7 days. So they took 7 times 180, which that totaled those 7 days, 180. If you added 180 7 times, you'd get 1,260. Now I'm not going to add them yet, but I could add these two to get another subtotal, but I'm just going to wait until we're done. Let me go back one page. Let's see. So then orange, on the 18th, we made a charge of $240. Give me orange here. Orange. So our balance, which was at 180, we charged 24 bucks. So our 180 balance is now going to go up by $24. That's going to take me to $204. And they'll show that on the next slide. Boop. Here's the orange. Okay, so on the 18th, you made a charge of $24. So your 180 is now up to 204. And the third line on that last slide said that was September 23rd. Let me use that color. On September 23rd, you made another charge of 12 bucks. Every time you charge on a credit card, it brings your balance up because you haven't paid that money yet. Okay, so on the 23rd, that change happened, which means back on the 18th, from the 19th, the 20th, the 21st, and the 22nd, that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days. For the next 5 days, your balance remained $204. So instead of adding 204 5 times, you just multiply by 5, and that gives you this number. And then the last thing you did this month was charge another, what was it? We charged 12 bucks for gas, and then there's nothing after this. So the last day of September is the 30th. So from the 23rd to the 30th, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 days. For the next 8 days, your balance, which went up by 12 bucks to 216. So you multiply 8 times 216, and it gives you that number. Okay, these are all my subtotals. So instead of me sitting here going 240 plus 240 plus 240 plus 240 plus 240 plus 240 plus 240